Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel today for another video on Gran Turismo 7. We're back with our first ever highlights video from the new series on Gran Turismo 7. It's a Manufacturer series, it's the Gran Turismo World Series, otherwise known as the FIA. The FIA affiliation has been lost, but it is basically the same. Now, this is a test season. You can see we're only doing 5 laps races here. And it's a good job, to be honest, because the servers are in a bit of a bad shape at the moment. A lot of disconnects, a lot of issues in qualifying. I'm not sure if it's to do with PS4 and PS5 players being together, but there is a lot of problems in the Manufacturers and Nation series at the moment that they're probably just going to try and iron out, and that is why they're only 5 lap races. And another reason is why they're all in 1 week, in the space of 8 days basically, because they want to get these issues sorted before they go into the longer races, because it would be a lot more annoying if these issues were present with a 15 lap race, for example. So yeah, it is what it is at the moment. First race of the day. Now, we didn't really do much time trial for this. I just jumped in. I think the day before we did a couple laps. Then on the day that this was on yesterday, we jumped in, did a bit more time trial. At this stage, we weren't really ready. Not really ready to drive the car. I will say, though, the McLaren that I have picked for my manufacturers, I am unbelievably happy with. Really nice car to drive. It might not be the outright fastest, but I would say the McLaren is like the new Porsche from like GT Sport. If you want a car that, you know, feels really grippy, drives really nice, this is the car for you. You are going to love the McLaren. So if you're looking for a GT3 car to buy, if you're new to the game, with the cost of the game on credits and how little you earn in the game, I think the McLaren Group 3 car is a very, very important purchase to make for, you know, the handling track specifically. I don't know what it will be like on top speed tracks. I'm not quite sure what it will be like at Monza and stuff. Probably not the best, but as a general rule, a lot of tracks this car is going to be very nice. I imagine it'll be pretty nice at tracks like Spa and Fuji as well. But you can see our race not going quite well at this stage. We made a mistake there. B Racer gets past us, and we started off in top split. Now, I do have to point out there is a huge issue with this game at the moment. I believe it's something to do with the matchmaking. The matchmaking doesn't quite seem to be there at the moment, or there is another thing that could be causing what was going on, because we did 5 races through the night and we only managed to get into 3 of them. 2 of the races we got disconnected from, lobbies broke, and it was a bit of a nightmare. But you know, we got there in the end and we got to the final race and we actually got a chance to race. But this was obviously slot 1. You can see, trying to get used to the track. We got a constant behind us in the McLaren, and we're just driving very scruffy. You can see my lines are pretty awful at this stage. We're just all over the place, very scruffy, and just basically trying to learn the track. Now, obviously, we've done a bit of time trial, like I said, but that was with no fuel and no tyre wear on. This race has got, obviously, fuel and tyre wear on. A very low rating of it, but it is on there, and it does make a little bit of a difference in the way the car drives. But, yeah, other than that, you know, everyone else, I think a lot of people in these lobbies had done a fair bit of time trial practice and probably got themselves reasonably up to pace. But first race, we're just trying to get some practice in. You can see Constan's going to probably go for a move here. He's got our slipstream going down the main straight. He's going to go to the right-hand side of the track. We're going to try and defend this and brake as late as we can. Now, one thing I figured out on this corner was it wasn't very good to go in first gear. You can see whenever we go in first gear, it kind of bogs down on acceleration a bit. So if you want to get that corner really nailed in the McLaren, keep it in second gear, I think. Sometimes you can go in first gear depending on what angle you get, but in general, second gear was a better gear for that corner. So going over the line on lap 4, you can see not gone quite well this race. It's been a bit of a disaster, and I think Constan's going to stay to the right hand side of the track here, and we're going to try and brake as late as we can. I actually braked a little bit too late, go a little bit deep in at the tight angle. Constan's going to go up the inside and take that position. You can see there up into P15, and I managed to just fall back even more there. And we had a little bit of an issue at the end of the lap as well, and we finished P16 just ahead of Josetti, who also had a bit of a nightmare in this race in that Porsche. I think a lot of people are having issues and stuff and just trying to get used to the track. Probably a lot of people haven't put too much practice in as well. But yeah, we moved on to our second attempt. So I think slot 2, actually, so slot 2 we got disconnected from. This was technically slot 3. Now, I believe what's happening is when you get disconnected from these lobbies at the moment, you are losing a massive amount of driver rating. That is the only thing I can think of what's happening with the matchmaking at the moment. However, we had Fire in front of us, and I don't know what Fire's driver rating is. You can see him right ahead of us there in the Nissan GTR. And we did manage to get a good qualifying in for this race. we managed to get a very solid qualifying. And, you know, we did a 26.6 or something like that, I think it was, or 26.7. It wasn't perfect, but was good enough to start us in a solid position for the race. So, yeah, at the moment, not driving particularly amazing. We made a little mistake going into this corner there, losing a little bit of time. And then as we come into this left-hand corner, we got a little bit loose on the rear. Again, you can see that we held up Haku a bit, but we did actually get a little bit of a bump draft going up the straight from him. So kind of helped us out on the straight here. So we're still in the slipstream to fire in front of us. And yeah, it's started off a little bit scruffy again. But the one thing is, at least we got the qualifying sorted in this attempt, and that was important. Once we got the qualifying sorted, we could then work out and try and get some race pace in. But you can see going through here again, braking a little bit too late on the brakes and having to go down to first gear. So that is one thing I wanted to get sorted. Getting the braking sorted and staying in second gear through that corner was going to help us out massively. Now, behind us, you can see the Subaru, and he seems to be gaining quite quick on us. But you're going to see here, I think Haku is in the Subaru behind us. And as we're going into turn 1, you can see he's quite far behind, but he gets a massive jolt from behind there. And as we're coming through, we get a little hit from behind, and we're off outside. Now, we did turn a little bit too early, but I didn't expect him to be that close. But there's a reason why he was so close, because I think Ari was actually bump drafting him down the straight. So you can see here, he was actually giving him a bump draft, and it pushed him forward right before the braking zone, which I didn't expect. And then he hit him again, just going into here, which hits us. And it just got a little bit messy. But at the end of the day, this is a test season. It doesn't matter too much. Any driver rating that we lose, we are going to get it back. And you can see Ari had a bit of an incident after that with Haku. So it was a very messy race again. And we had a bit of a disaster. You can see as we fast forwarded, one thing I figured out is once you've been off the track, the tyres take quite a while to either get back to temperature or just get fully clean. Because as we come through here, nothing too out of normal here. Pretty normal racing line. Go up to third gear and the rear just snaps on us instantly, which is really weird because it wasn't doing that. So I think that when you go off track, you're picking up them dirty tyres. It takes a while to get them fully back cleaned up and stuff. So yeah, we dropped down to P16 and a pretty much disastrous race accumulated. We just had mistake after mistake. It just got worse and worse, and you can see at the end we also made another mistake and lost another position. So pretty much disaster. But you know, every day you have bad days, and sometimes you get rewarded by keeping at it and being patient. So we decided to go again for another race. We're going to join that race with the qualifying. So fourth slot of the day, we got disconnected yet again, which probably lost us even more driver rating. So quite frustrating in that regard. However, this was a qualifying session for the fifth slot of the day. Final chance to get some sort of good result and actually get a race where we do all right. Now, I started to feel quite comfortable with the track at this phase, I must say. I was driving better. We were picking up the racing lines and we were hitting where we needed to hit for qualifying lap. So this was our second to last lap and we managed to put it on pole position with that lap. However, we got one more chance at going for a lap, so I decided to go a little bit more aggressive. Going into turn 1, you can see not being too aggressive that we're going to risk crashing out or whatever. We just wanted to go for a, you know, just in case P2 pips us, we want to make sure we get just a slight improved time into the end of qualifying. So again through there, getting that slide into the corner almost perfectly, taking some of the curve nice and smooth through here, and actually going a little bit wide there, but we go through with a pretty fast sector, so a little bit wide, which meant we had to be a bit patient on the throttle, but managed to get it all worked out through here, and this time nice and smooth through there. And just as we come through here, maybe lose a little bit of time as we don't quite hook that corner up. Could have been a little bit closer to the curb, but managed to get it rotated through this corner. You can see got a little bit of rotation off the grass on the right hand side and got on the pile nice and early. So yeah, probably a tenth or so still, 2 tenths still left on this lap at this point. But going into the final corner here, working our way down the straight, we actually managed to hit the braking point pretty well. You can see there as we go through with the purple sector on split 2, we brake just after the 150 and pretty much in between the 150 and the 100 board, keeping it in second gear, letting the car rotate. Don't go into first gear. It's definitely better to stay in second gear if you get it right. It's just a very tricky hairpin, I find that corner is going to be one that's going to be very, very tricky to master, but I actually enjoy this track. Now, I did think I was going to get the slipstream from I think it was a Porsche in front of us, however he pitted, so we didn't get any slipstream to the straight, and we go over the line on a 1:26.5, which not an amazing lap, I have to be honest, but it was good enough to start us from pole position in this final race in the Gran Turismo World Series manufacturer. So starting from P1, and we had a reasonable gap to P2, I think. So we got a Subaru behind us and then another McLaren right behind there. So let's see what the gaps were. You can see myself on a 26.5 and P2 actually nearly 3 tenths behind us. So this should be looking quite good for the race. So let's get this race underway. We're going to pull away from the start and see what we can do in this race to try and get a win if possible. We should be able to do it if we keep it clean, keep it smart, don't make any too many errors. We should be able to get a good result from this. So we're just going to fast forward to the start of the race here. There's a car, as the automatic car obviously warms up the tyres, and let's get this race underway. Going into turn 1 straight away. One thing again, I really wish they would have listened with these rolling starts. They are too spread out in my view, starting quite far away from each other. I would have really liked it to have been an almost 2x2 starting grid, so we could have some good close battle racing, you know, good close racing into turn 1. But unfortunately, I mean, this is good for us in this situation, starting from P1, but personally, I would have rather had that, you know, intense moment going into turn 1 side by side and with 2 cars behind you that are side by side. I think it would have made it a little bit more interesting. But yeah, Gran Turismo have decided to keep their system from GT Sport, even though that everyone probably has said about this and probably wanted it to change, but they haven't really listened in that regard. So lap 1, you can see the cars behind dropping off a little bit there. We managed to get the gap over 1 second, and the good thing for us was they started to battle. Now, I could see this in the mirror, and we're not driving particularly well on this out lap. We're just trying to keep it on the track because we've had a bit of a disaster on the first 2 races that we've done, and we've got no other chances left after this one. So just trying to keep it as sensible as possible, really. We're driving about 80% on this out lap, and even then we weren't probably as committed as we should be for this track, because this is a track that really, it kind of rewards aggressive driving if you get it right. It's kind of, you got to be a little bit smooth, but you've really got to attack them corners to get the lap time out of it. So, but luckily for us, you can see our gap in the delta. We've managed to absolutely fly away from the pack. They're battling, they're fighting each other, and they're losing time, and that is perfect for me. So we're going to go over the line and finish lap 1 in the lead here. So going into our first main lap, trying to just keep it nice and smooth. We're not going to go ultra aggressive on this lap. I wanted to build up the pace gradually because, like I said, we had had a bit of a disaster throughout the day. So just trying to build the pace up gradually, get used to the car, get used to driving this with fuel, because we haven't had a clean run yet. This is our first chance of getting a clean run with the fuel on board on the car for this track. And you can see at the moment, we're not exactly setting the timesheets on fire. We're a little bit off pace, but we're just trying to get that consistency. And then coming through here, I think we actually made a little mistake through here. As we come through here, I think possibly we ran a little bit wide and then clipped onto the grass on the outside and got a little bit out of shape. You can see there, missed the apex by a mile, lost to 2 or 3 tenths at least just on acceleration all the way up this hill, because you lose out then all the way down the straight into the next braking zone. So we're going to skip ahead to the end of lap 2 there. And you can see we go over the line, I think it's only a 28.0. It's way off the pace that we could probably get out of this car. You can see a 1 minute 28.0. I knew we had a lot more left in this car. So again, we're going to try and be a little bit more consistent on this lap. But again, not driving 100%, because at the moment I didn't feel confident enough. But one thing I will say is I'm really looking forward to mastering this track. I like it. I actually don't mind the change at the end of the lap with that hairpin. I think it does mess with the flow a little bit, but what it does do is it's going to create overtaking opportunities, and I think that will mean better racing, because you come off that long straight into a hairpin, good side-by-side action, and then it's all about figuring out your line through then. It does seem like different lines will actually work. So this lap so far was going okay, but then we got a little bit out of shape there again on that section, and then we didn't do too bad on the power here. We got a reasonable exit, but again, losing another couple of attempts at least on this lap just by a little silly mistake. But then into the braking zone here, using the full width of the track and going over the line. I think we go over the line on a 27.7. Let's have a little look as we go over the line. A 1 minute 27.7, nearly a 27.8. But again, next lap we go a little bit faster, trying to keep it consistent still. Not a massive improvement on that one, a 27.7. However, on this lap we noticed the car behind gets the fastest lap, and I didn't want to overdrive this, but I really wanted to get the fastest lap, and I knew that I could easily get that fastest lap if we drove it a little bit more aggressive. So this lap we're kind of going to push but keep it sensible as well. So I do think there was more time left in this, but you can see a little bit more aggressive, using the curb a bit more, getting it into the apex, nice and smooth, on the throttle quite well there. We actually go through with the purple sector, and then again this corner, it's all about keeping it tight to the apex and getting on the power as early as you can. Once you get that line figured out, it helps you all the way through this section. And again through here, really chucking the car into the left hand side of the track and then getting on the power nice and early. Could have been more aggressive there, probably lost out on a 10th, but we managed to get this section quite nice. You can see hooking it up to the apex on the throttle nice and early, And we're going into the final lap here now. And this looks like, as long as we don't make any mistakes, we're going to pick up our first ever win in the Gran Turismo World Series. First ever day doing it, and we've picked up a win. It, you know, might not be the most competitive lobby, but at the end of the day, a win is a win. And with the luck that we had with the disconnections and stuff, we were definitely going to take this. So just spotting that last final braking zone, getting the car into the apex, cooking that up quite well actually, onto the power. Could have been a little bit better, but yeah, we're going to go over the line, I think, this time on a 1 minute 27.4 or 3, I think it is, as we go over the line. So definitely a few more attempts left in this. I think we could have been getting ourselves down to 27 1s and 2s if we had really put practice in on this. But driving reasonably consistent. I think we finished overall there. You can see a 27.3, fastest lap of the race, and we finished overall on 7.22. I do think we could have got that finishing time down to pretty much 7 minutes 20 flat if we'd have actually concentrated and really went for it. But we did what we had to do. We pick up the win. We got the pole, fastest lap, and a clean race. So I think that was a good result in the end. We pick up 300 points, which isn't the most amazing amount of points from a race, but it's still better than nothing. So yeah, we take a win, 300 points, and we're going to move on to the next race at Bathurst in Group 4, where again we'll be in McLaren. I don't know what that car will be like, but I will be streaming that live. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and let me know how your races went in this GT World Series first race. Bye everyone.